You know how when someone says they're depressed, you probably picture them sad, tired, and kind of hopeless. Well, that's only half the story. Because buried inside all that fog of low mood is something a bit surprising and almost counterintuitive. See, people who go through depression often develop a kind of sharp, almost ruthless clarity. Not the warm, fuzzy kind of clarity. More like, I see the world for exactly what it is clarity. Psychologists call it depressive realism. Basically, when the brain isn't distracted by sugar coated optimism, it starts seeing things as they truly are. Studies show that people with mild to moderate depression often make more realistic judgments than those without it. For example, researchers ran a test asking people to predict how much control they had over a randomly blinking light. Non depressed participants wildly overestimated their influence. Depressed participants, spot on. No illusions, just cold, hard accuracy. Why does this happen? Part of it comes from loss jobs, relationships, opportunities, health, meaning. When the world shakes, the brain shifts into survival mode, scanning every angle and analyzing every consequence. This is called analytical rumination. When hope fades, the mind zeroes in on problems like a laser, trying to figure out what went wrong and what might go right next. On a neurological level, depression dulls the brain's reward system, dopamine pathways that normally make life feel exciting. Without that pull of fun or pleasure, the mind isn't tricked by rose colored thinking. Instead, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for planning and evaluating, becomes more active. The result? Decisions get processed with cold logic rather than emotional bias. Of course, it's not all a superpower. Seeing life clearly can feel brutal. Every flaw, every unfair twist of fate, it hits harder. That's why many depressed people naturally gravitate toward philosophy, stoicism, and deep reflection. These ideas don't sugarcoat life. They put words to the clarity the mind has already uncovered. But here's the catch. Logic without hope can be heavy. Seeing every risk and downside makes it harder to take action. Relationships feel fragile, careers feel shaky, and motivation can vanish. That's why many therapists rarely tell people to just think positive. Instead, they guide the brain to balance clarity with optimism, keeping insight while still gently reintroducing warmth and possibility. So, yes, depression can make your thinking sharper, more realistic, and more analytical. But logic alone isn't enough. The real skill lies in holding on to clarity while still letting yourself hope, laugh, and feel joy. Next time you notice someone quietly observing life with sharp insight, don't assume they're cold or pessimistic. They're just seeing the layers most of us miss and slowly figuring out how to navigate them. If you've ever found yourself noticing tiny patterns, contradictions, or hidden truth in everyday life, you'll probably enjoy our video on people who overthink quietly while laughing at themselves. It's that same subtle psychology and human behavior insight you've been craving. Stay curious, think deeply, and remember, clarity is survival instinct, not a flaw. Observions, signing off.